Okay, so you have just discovered that he's addicted to porn. And for a minute there, everything went fuzzy and foggy and gray. And now you're trying to make sense of what that means and what impact it makes and how you can turn things around. And it feels like hell right now. So I want to share with you what to expect, because it's very likely that you're getting a lot of mixed information. So here goes. Point number 1. There is nothing you can do to make him get better. Nothing. This is the first thing you need to accept. There is nothing you can do to make him get better. Porn addiction is not a marriage problem. It's not going to get better with some magical formula for intimacy. It's not going to get better by you working on being the perfect fantasy wife. It's not going to get better when you try to compete with the women he watches on the screen. Porn addiction is a sin problem. Porn addiction is also abuse. Full stop. Porn addiction thrives on deception, manipulation, secrecy, adultery, self-serving, lack of intimacy, confusion, fear of abandonment, emotional disengagement, exploitation, violence, aggression. It not only thrives on these, it drives these behaviors. And it cultivates the presence of these behaviors in a marriage. These elements are the opposite of godly love, honor, protection, respect, and cherishing someone's spouse. So his addiction to pornography was not caused by you as his wife. And it absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, be fixed by you as his wife. Porn addiction cannot be fixed in couples counseling or codependency counseling or anger management classes or pastoral marriage counseling. That's the wrong place to fix or to address pornography addiction. There is nothing you can do as his wife to make him less addicted or unaddicted. Full stop. There is no version of yourself, darling, that can successfully compete with or win out over the images and the videos that are on a screen, because that's simply not how addiction works. Until he decides for himself to do the very hard identity deconstructing work of addressing his sinful, unfaithful, addictive choices, there is no hope for creating a healthy marriage. Until he voluntarily, not you setting it up for him, not you arranging it for him, not you begging and pleading for him, until he voluntarily chooses to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to become sober-minded, pure-hearted, and completely surrendered to the humility of non-stop accountability, there is nothing, darling, that you can do as his wife to fix it. And even then, even if he does all those things, you can't do the addiction recovery work for him. You can invest in your own healing, in your own recovery from betrayal trauma. And when you discover that your husband is addicted to porn, you're going to feel this wide range of emotions that are normal and valid. You can read books. I have some great ones on my advocacy resource list on wilderness2wild.com in the giveaways. You can get clarity coaching. You can find resources and support groups to help guide you through the fog of the betrayal that you're experiencing, but you cannot fight this battle for him. Period. The journey of transformation from addict and abuser, because porn addiction is abuse, to being a safe and healthy, trustworthy, honest, transparent person is his and his alone. You cannot walk it for him. You cannot carry his pack. You cannot help him by shouldering the weight or shifting some of the consequences. You cannot diminish the fallout of his pity or his pain. And if you do, you'll be the well-meaning person who helps the butterfly out of the cocoon and leaves it permanently crippled. I'm not saying it's your fault if you've tried to help. I'm saying your helping is enabling. He has to do this on his own. He has to do the work. He must battle through for himself in order to become a warrior on the other end. This is how he heals or doesn't heal. Either way, the choice is his to make. The burden is his to carry. The work is his to complete. Think of it this way. If a heroin addict has a gourmet chef creating exquisite meals at home, it's not going to take away his addiction to heroin. It doesn't matter what the chef serves. The heroin addict wants a hit. That's all. It won't matter how much nutritional education the chef provides or how the chef tempts his taste buds with treats, unless and until the heroin addiction is addressed, it's going to dominate everything else. And the addict is going to keep stealing and lying and sneaking to get the hit, and it doesn't matter what you put on the table for dinner. This is part of the reason why couples counseling is toxic in these kind of situations. Couples counseling tends to focus solely or primarily on how to get the wife to come around instead of how to get the addict healthy or the abuser to stop abusing. So when a counselor is asking the wife of a porn addict, do you still love him? How committed are you to working through this and supporting him? They're putting their focus in the wrong place. They're trying to pigeonhole the victim into overlooking the betrayal trauma instead of focusing on the addict's actions that are actually causing the trauma and impeding healing for both parties. Many church leaders have this mindset, even wildly popular celebrity church leaders. So if your counselor is trying to get you to address one set of actions at a time instead of looking at the big picture, because looking at the big picture would be dredging up the past, or if they're telling you not to dig into the history of things, then they are enabling abuse from the addict and you need a new counselor. Addictions and abuse are systems, patterns of behavior. They are structures that show up in patterns that flow out of habits, which are the chains that bind the addict and the abuser to the mindset that drives the addiction and the abuse. Many Christian counselors have been taught massively unbiblical myths about forgiveness and reconciliation, and they unwittingly use these myths as weapons against the survivor or the victim. So if your counselor is taking this approach, they're going to cause you more harm than good. If your pastor, your church leaders, your therapists are confusing forgiveness and reconciliation prior to proof of genuine and lasting repentance, please find new ones, because they're not going to help you heal. Trying to rapid reconcile the one reacting to trauma without addressing long-term change in the one perpetrating addiction and abuse is like trying to address a gunshot wound with a Band-Aid while telling the victim to shut up and don't whimper. It not only proves the incompetence of the one providing treatment, it runs a high risk of killing the victim who is bleeding out and leaving a murderer on the streets. Emotional murderer, soul murderer. So there's my thoughts. Girls, there's nothing you can do to make him unaddicted. That has to be his hard work. And you have the right to be safe while he decides whether or not he's going to do it.